Throughout our history, ordinary people have done chose one civilization.
To a first look at the next chapter in our Civilization franchise. 30 years ago, Civilization for that be greater passion. Your love for Civ that we're still here today. In every game of Civ, it's putting the on, which led us to thinking Civ VII. Hello, Civ fans. On behalf of all of us here at Firaxis Games, we'd like to welcome you to a first look at the next chapter in our Civilization franchise, Civilization VII. You know, looking back 30 years ago, Civilization was created during a time when we were still learning what games could really be. We were searching for that next big challenge to take on, which led us to thinking, what could be greater than putting the entire history of the world into a video game and make it fun? 3 decades later, it's because of your passion, your love for Civ, that we're still here today. In every game of Civ, you've gone on a journey.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm just recapping a couple of things. I was watching it just a little bit, but I decided to just, you know, stream it. What's up, Dios? Hello, Oni.
We launched Civilization VII across PC and consoles, all on day one for the first time in franchise history. This is by far the biggest, the most ambitious game we've ever made at Firaxis. It represents a significant gameplay evolution for the Civ franchise, and it's a game we plan to support for many years to come. Today, you'll learn about the vision for the game, the driving force that inspired our biggest new feature. You'll see your Civ world brought to life like never before, and you'll discover why Civilization VII promises to be a revolutionary new chapter in this franchise that we all love so dearly. Please enjoy.
Civilization is the foundation of Firaxis. Whether you've been playing since the MS-DOS days or have joined us more recently, we're so grateful for your continued passion and support. When you walk around our studio, you can feel the energy and excitement. You can see how inspired our people are to come in and build the next Civ game.
Civilization is the ultimate historical strategy game. Your goal in Civ is to build an empire to stand the test of time.
Hopefully.
Select a civilization led by a famous historical leader and guide your Civ's journey across the entire span of human history. You shape your empire piece by piece, from what technologies you want to research to what civics you want your society to uphold. And you compete with others on the world stage, engaging in diplomacy, negotiating alliances, and sometimes going to war.
That is gold. What is this? Science. Looks like the culture right here.
In every Civilization game, your empire has always been represented by a single civilization. You play through the entire span of history as that one civilization. This time around, we want to take you on a new journey.
Oh, humankind stuff.
For the first time ever, in Civilization VII, the story of your empire isn't just that of a single.
The happy face is happiness. Yeah, yeah. It's like a like a Civ 5 icon.
Civ, but several connected together through time. At the dawn of each new age of human advancement, you'll select just that of a single. In Civilization VII, the story of your empire isn't just that of a single Civ, but several connected together through time. At the dawn of each new age of human advancement, you'll select a new Civ to represent your empire. You'll build on and carry forward your previous achievements while unlocking new gameplay bonuses to reinforce or pivot your strategy. And by the end, you'll have forged a unique path through history. To show you what we mean, let's take you through the story of one such empire.
That's a humankind thing.
It is the dawn of a new age. The age of antiquity, where humanity begins to take its first steps into the annals of history.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you can make it better. Okay, Egypt. Production on navigable rivers. 30% production towards pyramids. Magi, infantry replacement with no maintenance. +3 combat strength in friendly territory. Doubled when stationed in a settlement you own. +3 culture. Gold adjacency for desert, terrain, and wonders. Egyptian unique culture building. Ageless. Ageless term. There must be ones that are just like you only could build like in a certain era, maybe. +4 gold. Happiness adjacency for navigable rivers and wonders. Egyptian unique gold building. Ageless.
Pharaoh Hatshepsut leads the civilization of ancient Egypt. Among the arid desert lands and a winding river, the seeds of our people are rooted.
Next turn button looks cool.
In sand and water. To discover what treasures and dangers lie beyond, a brave scout begins to survey and map the surrounding lands. As our population grows, surrounding lands.
Okay, granary, ageless. They have this ageless term going on. There might be certain buildings that you can only build like in a certain age.
Our population grows. A new granary is built to store food.
Interesting. Granary being built
for hungry mouths. Its location decided, a new district is formed, and construction begins. With more food available, our people look to make improvements to the land.
Picking this tile will give you a plantation.
An ancient fruit ripe for cultivating is spotted.
What is this?
Food
Hold
available.
on.
Our people look to make improvements to the land.
Oh, that's quick. Give me a second.
Available. Our people look to make improvements.
You can add specialists here. You have 0 specialists here.
To the land.
What was? Oh, okay, because it hovered over this tile.
An ancient fruit ripe for cultivating is spotted. Dates will provide more sustenance for our citizens, and their sweetness will make the people happy. A plantation is constructed to harvest this valuable resource. Over time, our city continues to grow as more urban and rural developments spring forth. We pursue advancement.
Currency, masonry, irrigation, writing 2.
In technology to serve
Why
the
is
needs
this?
of our people. Breakthroughs in irrigation further enhance our food production, while sailing unlocks our ability to traverse the nearby waters.
Okay.
It is now
go frame by frame.
To journey further and expand our empire.
Thank you.
With a deft hand, our scout travels along a navigable river. Their tenacity is rewarded with the discovery of a breathtaking series of waterfalls.
I think I was saying that wrong.
This natural wonder of the world attracts the imagination of our people, and brave settlers begin the long trek to claim new land for the Egyptian Empire. A new town is established near the majestic falls.
Yeah.
The town starts from humble beginnings.
Sup,
and
Jamba?
is initially used to gather nearby
Tide rising.
resources.
Sun.
Perhaps in the future, this town
Diaz
will
with the
grow
first.
large
Appreciate
enough
that.
to specialize and gain its own identity.
Good morning,
as
Oni.
a city.
Yeah, it's a district now, looks like.
Our expansion does not go unnoticed. A foreign scout is spotted, revealing the existence of a nearby...
Befriend. Why is this so... What is going on? It's 1080. Incite raid.
Independent power. Initial hostilities...
So this costs 260 to befriend. It seems like you get some type of, I don't know what this is. This currency right here. This might be culture, this might be like an influence generation.
Tempered over time, as friendly relations begin to form. And peace does not dampen our ambitions. Our people strive forth to create great wonders.
Influence dipple points, yeah, something like that. Guess between a city, states, and barbs.
As we continue to expand and explore.
Yeah, I want some, dude. If I make lobbies in this game, we're gonna have barbs. Like, there's gonna be the whole mix. There's no snowflake lobby.
In a bartering of ideas.
What is this though? Like, what is Am I missing something here, dude? And that. Improve relations, denounce military infiltrations.
Trade routes are established.
Okay, it looks a little bit better.
Access to each empire's resources. But our rapid growth does not go unnoticed. Our neighbors' ambitions
War details.
rival our own, setting us on a collision course. War is no longer avoidable. A great army is raised, led by formidable commanders who spur our forces quickly.
This is the big thing right here, man. War is a pretty big deal.
Spears and arrows make way for iron.
Because if they make war like humankind, dude,
the
there's no way we'll get a game done. Hopefully it's still tile by tile type stuff.
But the challenges of this age have shaken our mighty Egyptian empire to its core. The world changes. We feel the pages of history turn as the age of antiquity comes to a close. A new age of human advancement approaches. The age of exploration. A new age brings forth new...
Okay, choose legacies. So after the age is done, gain one city to place, gain one town to place. Towns and cities, interesting. Gain one wild card tribute point. Gain 3 ancient walls in all settlements. Gain 3 ancient walls in all settlements. There must be types of tiers of walls. That's interesting. I wonder how many ancient walls you can have in your settlements. Gain an army consisting of 2 infantry units. Gain an army consisting of 2 range. Gain an army consisting of 4 cavalry units. This seems to... There's a marker right here because you get 4 cavalry units, right? I wonder what these little emblems mean. It seems like maybe you can choose a legacy depending on what type of civ you have. Like, certain civs might have, like, different types of... different, higher their attributes in these emblem points or whatever. So, like, if you're a war civ, example, like maybe Alexander, you would possibly have, like, more of this red emblem or something. Economic civic. Gain the economic civic for free. Gain the piety civic for free. Gain 1,000 gold on standard speed. It's quite the tempo. Gain 3 population in your capital. Gain the cartography technology for free. Gain the machinery technology for free. Gain the astronomy technology for free. Interesting.
Challenges and new opportunities.
Wait. Oh, they're choosing multiples. Wait. Do you... Whoa. Hold on. Okay.
Of exploration. A new age.
So it seems like Okay, this is what it seems like. It seems that you have 5 standard emblems here. That's what it looks like. And attributes. Gain 1 wildcard attribute point. So these are attributes. These emblems are attributes. So it seems that if you click on this, you're spending 1 of this to get a wildcard 1. And then you can choose 1 of these right here.
Each brings forth new challenges and new
Maybe not. Wait.
new opportunities. New technologies
Okay.
to research. New resources
Ah.
to acquire.
Yeah.
New lands to explore.
Maybe it's for the next age.
If we are to take on the
Shanghai. New culture emerges. Plus 15 trade route range to cities on navigable rivers and your trade ships. Man, I have a hard time saying that word. Jeez. Cannot be plundered on the rivers. 30 production towards constructing the Tome of Askia. Plus 5 combat strength on resource tiles. 100% gold from pillaging trade routes. Tajiro. A unique merchant civilian who can establish a trade route to import resources from a foreign settlement. When you create a trade route, receive 100 gold if this is a trade route with at least 1 navigable river. Plus 5 gold, 5, okay. It's not remove, okay.
challenges of this new age, we must adapt and select a new civilization.
Yeah,
to
maybe rising.
represent our
Maybe that's
empire.
the scale of it, yeah.
One that is better equipped to take
Those
on the
points you spend them,
challenges
yeah.
of the exploration age. This new civilization builds on top of its past legacy,
Go back.
and our actions on the challenges
On this
of
one?
the exploration age. One
At the bottom there,
select a
pick
new
and sieves.
civilization
Ah.
to represent our must adapt and
It seems that you have 3 choices right here. Whoa. Do you see this? It's like there's like a bunch of different things right here. And then do you choose like a certain... That would be crazy. If these are all choices right here. Thanks for the follow, Lush. Appreciate that. If these are all choices right here, and then you could choose 3 off of that,
select
that'd be
a
pretty
new
nuts.
civilization to represent our empire. One that is better equipped to take on the challenges of the exploration age. This new civilization builds on top of its past legacy, and our actions in this age will inevitably influence a future yet to come. As we evolve, so too
Local festival, plus 3 happiness per turn, or per turn in cities for both leaders. I come to you with a proposal for a local festival. Okay. Plus 2 influence. Why is this so... Reject. Future projects for 10 turns. Okay, so it seems like you do projects
to
together.
our neighbors. The stage is set. A new age begins. Will you follow a path set by history, or will you pivot?
So you can't go like Egyptian into like Roman. Seems like you have to close in region. Or am I seeing it wrong? I'm not really sure.
What strategies will you pursue? The future is
Yo,
yours to
what's
create.
up, Sly?
In Sid Meier's Civilization VII.
The journey of Hatshepsut, brought to life by our wonderful new narrator, Gwendolyn Christie, is just one potential path you can take in Civilization VII. This is made possible by our biggest new feature, Ages.
I think they said this is coming out in
Ages are
February.
inspired by a transformational
Sorry, am I
idea
talking
of
loud?
Sid,
Sorry if my
that history
mic's loud. I'll
is
turn it
built
down.
in
Sorry.
layers.
I just saw my mic
This
go to the
idea
red.
is a way of
That's my bad.
understanding how civilizations have grown, changed, and evolved over time.
Think of the first civilizations of the world as creating an initial foundation. As a civilization grows,
11th
new
of
layers are added
February.
to that foundation in the form of things like
Huh.
technologies, schools of thought, and cultural norms. At some point, civilizations faced with a crisis that defines their time must evolve. When that happens, these past layers don't...
Healing cults? I don't know why it's so laggy, dude. Not like the picture is just funky. Happiness on altars in infected settlements, but minus 10% on altars. Gain 2 migrants when a city's infected. Oh, there's a crisis. Okay, prosecutes the apostates. 2 science on cities building and affected settlements. Infected. Plus 2 food in towns, but minus 15 healing on all units. Interesting.
Disappear. Instead, they now serve as a new foundation for the new civilization. As the cycle repeats, connecting the past, present, and future together.
Instead of playing as one single civilization across every age, you'll evolve your empire into a new civilization for each new age. One that is suited to take on the historical challenges of that time.
Every age is designed to be like a historical sandbox.
That
as
would
a way
be,
to really
well, hopefully
immerse
there's
yourself
builders,
in that
right?
time. Almost everything inside an age is exclusive to that age. That includes things like which technologies and civics you can research, what resources are available to be gained, which independent powers surround you, to even things like gameplay systems and civilizations, all unique to that age.
Having unique civs for each age is something we're really excited about. In the past, every civ needed to be balanced across a game that spans all of history. This naturally resulted in things like late-era civs being strong in the late game, but weak early on. Now, we can balance around the age itself. This means we can give every civ bonuses, units, and buildings that are always relevant and powerful. Having exclusive
that's
civs
definitely a
per
humankind
age
thing.
is also great for historical immersion. Every age feels like an epic showdown of some of the great powers of that time.
Like
We'll
the
have
unique
3 ages
buildings,
for you to
districts,
play.
and units is a humankind
The
thing from,
Antiquity
you know,
Age.
going from age to
When
age.
agricultural societies begin to cluster into urban centers, forming the foundations of the first civilizations. The Exploration Age. When the desire for precious commodities from distant lands spurs empires to stretch across great oceans.
Our eyes are gonna have to get
And
used
the
to this
Modern
stuff.
Age, a period of incredible technological growth and global conflict, where mankind goes from the development of the steam engine
Choo-choo
to
train.
the splitting of the atom. Every age can be played
A
on
nice
its
little
own,
nuke. You
while
know
woven
we're gonna
together
shoot a
into
nuke.
a full campaign.
In past games, civs and leaders were always tied together and came as a package deal of agendas, abilities, units, and more. With civs being exclusive to ages, we're excited to introduce a new innovation for leaders. For the first time in franchise history, leaders are now selected independently from civilizations. You can now mix and match unique parts of different civilizations.
Okay. 2 gold on resources. Super good. Reminds me of Nubia a little bit. 30% production towards the Great Stele. Naval replacement. 3 combat strength on the coast. Plus 2 gold, 1 culture for adjacent wonders. Another Hawelt. You can improvement. It's ageless. Does not. Okay.
You can now mix and match.
You can choose an additional pantheon after unlocking mysticism. That's kind of cool. That's actually, that could be really strong depending on how good the pantheons are. 30% production towards the Sanchi Stupas. Cavalry placement, plus 3 combat strength against other cavalry. Ignores combat bonuses from walls. Plus 3 happiness. Science adjacency for quarters and wonders. Quarters. That could be pretty much anything. Plus 3 happiness. Culture adjacency for mountains and wonders. Oh, that's going to be super good, right?
Unique parts of different civs and leaders.
Rome. 1 culture on quarters in the capital and districts in towns. 30% production towards constructing the Colosseum. Legion, +2 combat strength for every Roman tradition in the government. Increased maintenance. +4 gold. Influence adjacency, so that is the influencing, for culture buildings and wonders. Roman unique gold building, ageless. Okay. +3 happiness, the Temple of Jupiter. Culture adjacency for happiness buildings and wonders. Okay.
Unlocking all new strategic
Egypt, we already read that
combinations.
one.
Staying true to Civ's spirit of experimentation.
Happiness
For players
is
who
a
want to
resource.
stick to more historical pairings, a useful indicator will appear on the Civ selection screen.
We're also
What
taking
does he say?
A useful indicator will appear on the Civ selection screen.
We're also taking the opportunity to expand who we consider to be a leader in Civilization VII. We'll continue to have traditional heads of state, such as Hatshepsut, but we're also excited to have new leaders in areas such as philosophy,
I have not.
religion,
I'm just pausing as we go.
science, and more.
I saw it was playing and I just
Animators
wanted to
stay the
like
same across
pause
ages
when I wanted
helps
to.
bring
There's a
sense
watch
of
party going
who
on, but I just
you're
want to
playing
pause when I
against
want
in
to pause.
Civilization 7. It also gives you the opportunity to keep the theme of evolution going. As your empire evolves from one age to the next,
Like this. Because I know in the watch party they're not going to do this. I would like to read this, you know. Okay, leader attributes. Okay, so here are okay. +5 combat strength against independence and city states. Very interesting. Gain 1 free support on all your wars. Support system. Okay. +50% influence towards levying units from city states. Against independence and city states. This might be like a barb card in a sense. +15% production towards military units. Ignore unrest from capturing settlements. That's insane. +1 settlement limits. -1 gold. Maintenance for units. Okay, garrison commanders reduce happiness penalties by an additional 10%. Commanders gain a free level. New commanders start with a free level. Units receive +2 HP when healing. Repeatable.
it's important that you're
Okay, so that was in militaristic, right? Hold on.
playing. As your empire evolves from one age to the
Yeah,
next.
that's militaristic. Now he's going to
It's
click on
important that-
expansionist. 1 food per age on warehouse buildings. 10% growth on cities. +25 production, towards training settlers. 25% of food is refunded when a city grows by adding a specialist. 25% of food is refunded when a city grows by adding a specialist. Huh. Gain 1... Gosh, I can barely read this stuff. Gain 1 population in towns.
that your leader grows as well.
Settlement limit, growth. Okay,
Well,
it's just expansionist type crap.
All
Okay.
leaders now have attributes that can further specialize their skills. These attributes can be
Build new statues, rebrand the old ones.
gained in a variety of ways, from completing narrative events to rewards.
What is this? It doesn't look great. At all.
For research.
Like, remember there was things like it says it gives you machinery for free, astronomy free, cartography for free. Remember this? And I think there was one for like something else, like a commercial type technology.
Certain technologies and civics.
Yeah, this UI kind of sucks
Overall,
right here.
Leaders are getting a huge upgrade. They're more powerful,
Okay, we already read this.
more varied, and more strategically interesting than ever. We cannot wait
They're just
for you to
repeating that,
discover
looks like.
your new favorite leader in Civilization 7.
Okay.
When one age ends and you begin an age transition, it is an incredibly exciting moment. You'll select a new civilization to represent your empire in the new age. You'll choose parts of your past civ to carry forward into the new one.
You know what
And
that
in
you know what that
that,
UI reminds me of? It reminds me of civil like a worse version of Old World.
Literally expands.
Old
Filled
World
with
wasn't
new
like that
independent
bad,
powers
but it
to
was like
befriend,
wasn't great,
new
right?
resources to acquire, and new discoveries to be made.
During an age
Too much humankind
transition,
touch.
there are
Yeah,
a few
there's a
factors that
humankind
determine which civ you can
influence
evolve
here
into.
for sure.
This includes any historical connections between your previous and future civ, your choice of leader, and even certain gameplay decisions that you made in the past age. Every civ plays differently. Across your game, you might want to stay as true to history as possible, only selecting civs that have historical ties to each other. Or you might switch to civs that fit your strategic needs.
There are so
Did
many
you like
possible
unfollow, you
paths
whack
to
job?
explore, so many different choices you can make. The potential for strategy.
Either
in
way, thanks for the follow,
Civilization
champ.
7 is nearly endless.
Something we hear often
Morning.
from players is about how when you play a game of Civ, you forget the world around you. Video games, more than any other medium, have this ability to completely immerse you in another universe. Whether it's through art, music, cinematic moments, or language, our goal is to bring your Civ world to life.
Getting the look and feel for Civilization VII right is
Delivered
critical.
soon, Civ
So
7
it's
come out
important to
soon.
make sure we are capturing that through our art
Yeah.
style. I spent a lot of time as a kid in museums, especially in the diorama sections. And being able to walk by and see these little miniatures that aren't moving, but there's a story told in them, was something that I always found intriguing. Technology changes every time we put one of these games
Yeah.
out, and each time we put one out, we can do more.
Yeah, hopefully
And
it
we're
is,
at a
Trip.
spot
Subject
in
to
the industry
change,
now
yeah.
where we've just got a lot of tools and a lot of power.
Ziggy,
under
you
our
look
belts to
goofy.
represent the entire
Just
world
kidding.
of
You're right. You're absolutely
Civilization.
right. It does look goofy.
We're hoping that the players can look into this game, see
Ty.
the diametric detail on this, and tell their own stories that they've never told before. Everything is going to fit together in such a different way than it has in the past from Civilization, and I think it's going to give you a much more realistic version of the simulation that you're trying to create. We took a lot what we learned in the Civ 6 and learned from that, trying to open up some more spaces and everything. And we adjusted the tone from 6 a bit, and I think it's what our fans are looking for, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun for them. It's something that nobody else is doing, and nobody but Firaxis can do.
I think players will love how combat looks. We greatly expanded the variety of units in Civ 7. Units now constantly engage one another. You'll see and hear the clashing of swords and steel. Units have a higher level of fidelity than ever before. Everything from the little parts and pieces and details on the armor set to the entire representation of a whole army on a
Nah, you
battlefield.
didn't miss anything.
I feel like this is going to become your Civ. Like this is the one. It has the look.
Firaxis takes its representation of different cultures in Civ 7 very seriously. Language is a critical part of civilization.
It's over for multiplayer.
It's how people tell their story.
We'll see. Everything's subject to
This is
change,
important
champ.
because we are trying to teach through this game, and it's important to our players. They want to see their cultures represented correctly. In many cases, some players have never seen their cultures represented anywhere else. It brings great pride and joy to be able
How
to
does the max
see
limit
themselves
increase?
included in the history of the world.
Like, how does that
Music also
happen?
plays an important role.
Like, how does that happen? Like, okay, we get in a lobby of 5 players, right? Or do we get in a lobby of 8 players, and we can't see the other players until the era, maybe the map unlocks portions? Maybe I'm thinking too much
Role
about
in
it.
bringing
now,
out
right?
the spirit and essence of each civilization. Every Civ has its own theme, and we're excited to share that Chris Tin, who composed
Yeah, 3 players
the
just
Grammy Award-winning
watch,
theme
or-
Baba Yetu for Civilization 4,
or you can't
and
meet
main
the other
theme for
players
Civilization 6
until
is
the next
returning
stage
for
happens, like-
Civilization 7,
Like the
and we
borders are
cannot
locked
wait for
off
you
or
to hear it.
something.
Today represents just an initial look at what's to come in Civilization 7. We have so much more to share.
No
From
way.
gameplay deep dives to first looks at new leaders and civilizations.
That can't
to
be
what
a
you
thing,
can
guys.
expect from Civ 7 post-launch.
Sid Meier's Civilization 7 releases on February 11th, 2025, and is available to pre-order today. Players who pre-order Civilization 7 will receive the Tecumseh Shawnee Pack, And if you haven't already, be sure to create a 2K account and sign up for our Civ newsletter to receive the latest updates. Doing so will unlock the exclusive Emperor persona for Napoleon in Civilization VII.
Oh, the persona.
If you use that same 2K account to play Civ 6,
Persona.
you'll automatically unlock Napoleon's revolutionary persona in Civ 7. Check out our website at civilization.com for full details, and be sure to follow Civ for all the latest.
That's it?
We hope you enjoyed this first look
What?
at Civilization VII. The entire team at Firaxis has been working very hard to make sure
Doing from HK as well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
More reasons to take just one more turn.
Okay, let's look into some.
If you're looking for more information for defensive, you need to percolate. Now, swapping cultures, gone are the day, but in its earliest days, it was not
English
English
cleaner.
at all.
Maybe the
Rather,
live version
it
was just
the
like
Roman outpost of Londinium. Its identity
okay. Let's go play. Let's go play the game.
Reworked. Gone are the classical, medieval, industrial, and so on ages. Instead, the game is going to be broken up into only 3 ages. The Age of Antiquity, the Age of Exploration, and the Modern Age. Each of these ages will have specific objectives to complete, and some game mechanics will likely be age-specific, which we'll talk about later. But the most important thing to understand is that the entire world will progress through the same age together, and when it ends, the entire
we're gonna rewind
world
for a
will
second. I
advance
get my water and my
at
coffee.
the same
Okay,
time.
so just bear with
there
me.
Are
Okay,
a lot
champs?
of strategic implications to this,
Okay,
which
what did
I
I
will
miss
come back
here?
to in a while. And
Okay.
understand, likely be ages will have antiquity, the age of exploration,
Okay.
and the modern age.
3
Each
ages.
of these ages will have specific objectives.
What do we got here? Great Library, display 10. Codex in your empire? Codices?
To complete, and some game mechanics will likely be age-specific, which we'll talk about later. But the most important thing to understand is that the entire...
Gosh, it has that, it has like a little bit of the humankind vibes, but it does have old world vibes. Like, it has like old world vibes for sure.
The world will progress through the same
Like,
age
this is old world feeling right here.
together.
And this is the tech tree.
And when it ends, the entire world will advance at
Yeah,
the same
the dude from Old World is the dude that made it was like one of the big developers in Civ 4. Yeah.
time. There are a lot of strategic implications to this, which I will come back to in a while. Now, my playtest was restricted only to the Age of Antiquity. Once that concluded, I was finished playing, so everything that is informing this video is restricted to just that first section, the Age of Antiquity, which is really kind of like reading only one book out of a trilogy and then drawing your conclusions from that alone. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Now, in my game, the Age of Antiquity has drawing your
And
conclusions.
like I'm picky a little bit, but like this 7 stuff is like these like emblems of the Civ 7 or whatever. Like, I don't like this. I liked it when there was like clouds or something, or like, I mean, even the Civ 6 stuff was cool, but Civ 5, you know, exploration was pretty dope.
From that alone, so
But
keep
this
that in
is,
mind.
I don't like
Now,
this.
in my game,
Maybe you
the
can
Age of
change it.
Antiquity had 4 specific objectives that you could
'Cause I would
fulfill.
install that
Those
mod,
were
probably.
scientific, cultural, economic, and military. Each of these objectives was split into several milestones, and completing each of these objectives would, presumably, have a legacy effect that could give your civilization an advantage in the next stage and lend toward your victory condition. As an example, if
I think
you
the
wanted to
overhaul is
pursue
going to
the
be
culture
small,
legacy,
if
your
anything.
first quest would be to build a wonder, then 2, then 4, and finally 7 wonders. If you could complete all 7 before the end of the age, you would unlock the full legacy. Science would focus on writing and developing codices for your library, which is something like religious relics from Civ 6, but for
Codices.
science. Economic would focus on trade routes and resources, and military would focus on developing your commanders and expanding your empire, mostly through conquest.
So the
Now,
commanders are the
unfortunately,
generals,
because
I'm
my
guessing.
gameplay ended right as the age transitioned, I do not know exactly what bonuses you will receive.
And these YouTubers, they play without yields, right? So this is, it's gonna, like, I'm pretty sure like this is a 2-2 right here, right? That's a 2-2.
For achieving those legacies, or what options might become available to you later on. So that's
Man, you
still
can
a bit
barely
of a
see that
mystery, but I
icon,
get the
though, of what
sense
you're
that they are
producing, huh?
crucially important for defining
What are you
the
producing, a
trajectory
stick?
of your campaign. Now, there is more to
Oh, it's
talk
a
about with
magic.
ages, but let's instead turn to the second new mechanic for Civ 7 because it's very closely related. Up to this
I think
point,
I think the biggest
every civilization
improvement
game has been very Civ
is the next
and by
turnkey.
That, I mean, you would play as America or China or Greece, etc., from the
Would
very
wheels don't
start
exist in
of
this
the
one?
game
That's
all the
impossible.
way through human history. Civ 6 did experiment more
It's
with
over
the
if they
idea
don't-
of
if they
having
leave that
different
out.
leaders for the same civilization to add extra flavor and replayability to the same faction. China is another great example, with 5 potential leaders to choose from. But Civilization 7
tile yields, that'd
is
be
about
rough.
to flip this on its head. Remember how I said that history is built in layers? Well, so are human cultures. Civ 7 is looking to reflect this with evolving cultures between the ages. Now, a player will select a leader, a starting civilization, and every age, they will transition into a totally new civilization. Some of you might hear that, and you immediately get flashbacks to games like Humankind, where you swapped cultures with no rhyme or reason with every age. Well, the good news is Civ 7 is looking to follow a more logical progression based on real-life cultures and geography. So the example presented to us is Hatshepsut. The game would strongly recommend pairing her with Egypt as your starting civ, though I'll note it is not mandatory to do that. And once you advance to the Age of Exploration, because you selected Egypt, then Songhai would be the next civ recommended to you. Likewise, you would be recommended to choose Buganda once you reach the Modern Age. Now that's at least better than swapping from Egypt to Korea to Mexico like we saw in Humankind. However, one added twist is that you can unlock other alternative cultures depending on your accomplishments during an age. If, in the Age of Antiquity, you happen to become a Horse Lord Raider, well, then instead of Songhai, you could elect
Genghis
to choose
Khan?
a civilization like Mongolia instead once you reach the Age of Exploration. I don't know what the criteria will be to unlock different civilization choices. I don't know how many options will be presented. As I said, my playtest ended right before the transition between the ages, so I didn't see any of these details play out. But already, if you know anything at all about the Civilization franchise, you know
now
that
Nuclear
this
Guiding
is
makes
a
more
massive
sense. Yeah.
departure from the other games in the series. I am going to give my specific thoughts on this later in the video. Don't you worry. But that's already a lot to take in, so pause if you need to percolate. Now, swapping cultures isn't going to happen just out of the blue. Throughout human history, cultures
I
have
like the end turn
evolved
button
as a
and maybe the
response to a
coastal.
change in their surroundings. This is going to be true in Civ VII as well. Toward the end of every age, there is going to be a crisis, which will progressively get worse and worse until it culminates with an existential threat. In my game, I played as Augustus and Rome, and about 30 turns before the end of the Age of Antiquity, my empire was struck with higher army maintenance costs, incompetent diplomats, and other maladies, right up until a barbarian horde...
Okay, there's a crisis. Okay, one turn until the next crisis. It intensifies. Okay. So available. 6 combat strength against independent powers. Okay. Minus 10 gold for each city-state you are suzerain of. That sucks. Barbarian mercenaries, 100% gold to maintain military units. Holy cow. Minus 5 gold for each imported resource. Jeez. Rebellious. Minus 1 happiness in all cities for each commander rank. Decentralized aid. Minus 75 gold and food in towns with a special... These all suck. I mean, this, maybe you take this one, or maybe you just don't attack the independent powers. Maybe it's this one and then, or this one, the tribute, depending on what type of suzerain you have. If you just suzerain of just one CS, then you just take the 10 gold hit.
...descended upon my
I mean, he's
cities.
making 82 gold.
Clearly, this is meant to replicate the devastating impact of the Hunnic and Visigoth invasions in Europe that led to the downfall of the Western Roman Empire. I strongly suspect
they are intended
that
to
there will
suck,
be
but
a
there's ones
random
that
rotation of
that
Crisis
just
of
really
Civ
suck.
VII when it releases.
Right.
But clearly the idea is to create a new narrative of outside and internal threats bearing
I'm just
down
choosing the
upon your
worst,
nation
or the
rather
least
than just
the least
other
painful
players,
one. Excuse
and
me.
a new
I'm not choosing the
culture
worst.
arises from the ashes. Unfortunately, that is all I can tell you about the new major mechanics of the game. As I said before, I have not seen the process of swapping cultures to understand if it is a seamless and intuitive process, and I do not know what new mechanics are objective to be so...
Okay, don't send me through this. I watched that.
Let's start with city development. I'll just go ahead and drop the Gandhi nuke on you. There are no more builders in Civ VII. None. They're gone. Kaput. The city grows, you select a tile for development, and that is it. No more micromanagement, no more waiting for builders to arrive in a new city to bring it online. Instead, tile improvements are going to be broken up into 2 categories, rural and urban. A rural development is specific to the type of tile you would want to improve, and are focused on bringing new resources into the city. A forest will become a lumberyard,
The energy
grasslands
just
will become a
deflates.
farm, etc. They boost your tile yields and unlock new resources to bolster your empire. There will only be 1 improvement option for each terrain type. Without builders, you can't chop down a forest and then place a farm on the cleared land. You are restricted to just the lumberyard. This greatly simplifies
Hold
the
up.
decision
Hold on.
for
Sorry.
a
Maybe I'm
type.
just...
Without build, there will only be
Thanks for the follow,
1
Fire.
improvement option for each terrain type. Without builders, you can't chop down a forest.
Only 1 tile
option
improvement
for
per
each
terrain type.
Without builders, you can't chop down a forest and then place a farm on the cleared land. You are restricted to just the lumberyard. This greatly simplifies the decision-making process when improving your city, at least with the rural improvements. But this will get more complicated once you start placing urban improvements. You might recall everyone's favorite topic to debate from Civ VI, districts. Well, the urban tile improvements are basically those, except districts are no longer specific to only one type of yield, like the campus or the commercial hub. Instead, the new urban districts will just add flat adjacency bonuses and open up 2 building slots in your city. Yes, you heard me correctly, building slots. If you want to place down a granary or an altar or a barracks, you need to have a free slot in an urban tile. Most of those buildings will not only add some yield value into the city, but they also have adjacency effects. So it might well be that you want to place a granary close to all of your farming improvements to help the city grow faster, and you may want to place your cultural, scientific, and religious buildings close together to generate the most value, etc.
Is it loud, guys?
You will also eventually be able to allocate your pops to these districts as specialists to further stack the adjacency modifiers. So the natural progression of a city will be to start mostly rural in the early game, and then gradually urbanize across the world and divide itself into specialized quarters to maximize efficiency. This makes perfect sense from a human development perspective, but obviously is another major departure from what we have seen before in other Civilization games. And to make matters even more complicated, once the pop has been placed, whether in a district or as a specialist, they cannot be moved. No more swapping populations between tiles to boost growth or production. Furthermore, I should note that settlers do not place cities in the game. Instead, they found settlements, which act like towns attached to your cities. They spread your culture, grow, and work new tiles to send more resources back home. All production.
Sorry. We're gonna be rewinding.
Or production. Furthermore, I should note that settlements, which act like towns attached to your cities. They spread your culture, grow, and work new tiles to send more resources back home. All production in a settlement is converted directly into gold. They cannot build anything on their own. They do not develop urban districts, and they do not have any All production in a settlement is converted directly into gold. They cannot build anything on their own. They do not develop urban districts, and they do not have any building slots.
No talk.
If you want to convert a settlement into a city, you'll have
Lenny,
to spend a hefty.
1000% sounds like that. It's like the attachment for a city. Oh gosh, what does it remind me of? It reminds me of Old World. It reminds me of Humankind. It's like
gold, and this gets more expensive with every city you possess.
I'm like
once you've converted the town into a city, it urbanizes, just like your capital. However, if you choose to leave your settlement in its current state, you will eventually get the option to turn it into a specialized town and get extra bonuses depending on the tile improvements in the surrounding area. Again, this is a huge change from the other games in the series, but it does make sense. By the end of the Age of Antiquity, you'll have a handful of cities to manage, with several small, specialized towns functioning as tributaries to feed your urban centers. One of the big incentives to settle in new areas is resources. Now, unlike past games, every resource is going to provide specific benefits to your city, not just the extra yields on a tile. Some resources will provide benefits to your entire empire, and others have to be slotted in a city or a town, one at a time. Now, those resources could provide, let's say, extra bonus food. Another might give you a production bonus to a unit category, and another might grant extra happiness to the population, etc. Cities have many slots for resources and thus can stack the most benefit, while towns are only able to house 1 or 2. And on top of that, when you trade with other civilizations, you gain access to all of their resources in that location as well, which again, you can disperse throughout your empire to stack different bonuses. This actually reminds me a little of the trade surplus system from Imperator Rome, and you will need to plan your trade routes and settlements carefully to maximize your economic bonuses.
Okay.
This also will strongly incentivize playing nice with your...
Like this right here, like I'm picky on this stuff, but like when you have like, okay, here goes the building screen. it's like gray, you know? It's like
Strongly incentivize playing nice with your neighbors.
No shine to that.
Speaking of which, let's transition over to diplomacy.
Yeah,
in
it feels
both
empty,
Civ
boring.
5
Yeah.
and 6, city-states are a major mechanic you'll need to play
calm
around.
down.
In Civ 7, they still exist, but in a very different form. Initially, you will meet several different independent peoples as you explore the world. They do not start as a city-state, but more like an independent tribe, which may or may not be hostile to your advances. If you spend time cozying up to them, those independent peoples will go on to found their own city-state and proclaim you to be their suzerain. At that point, you can choose one of several different suzerain bonuses to enjoy, and you may continue investing in them to help the city grow, expand their military, or eventually annex them outright. The fact that you can choose from several suzerain bonuses is going to reduce some of the randomness that we've seen in past games, but it definitely will require more attention and cultivation from the player.
Every game.
You likely won't be able to invest in several at the same time. Why? Well, because there is a new resource at play in Civ 7, influence. This is something you'll gradually accumulate in your empire and can be improved by various buildings or policies.
What is this?
You spend influence for all diplomatic actions, including building up your independent peoples. But what about the other players? Diplomacy has been greatly reworked in Civ 7. It's not just a simple set of alliances, denouncements, and trade agreements. Now you can spend influence to propose various cooperative or hostile actions, such as declaring a joint festival, and both sides will reap great benefits the more they cooperate. By default, the initiating player will spend their own influence to propose an action.
You know you're going to hear me. We're going to play this game, right? And you're going to hear me be like, oh, or like other people are like, oh, Papa wants a festival again. He offered me a festival. Hey, when's your festival? Hey.
And if accepted, they get the lion's share of the benefit. So it pays to be proactive.
Papa, I don't want another festival. Go away.
If the other player elects to spend their own influence, both sides share equally.
Give me those sugars and spices.
Larger benefit. You could also spend influence to oppose a player's motion, denying both players a benefit and harming relations.
You get a festival.
There are many kinds of deals in this game, ranging from food to gold to culture and more.
Yeah, this can help build wonders I'm out. Oh, dude.
Open borders for a set number of turns, or trading rights to access their resources with.
Dude, and that was that was one of the most broken things in humankind, because literally, if you had nothing else to build, like if you were just waiting for like the next age and you had all your unique districts built, you know, you're set, everything was good, and you're just like, okay, what do I do now? Oh, I have a ton of production, I've been doing the right things, and then you help someone build like a wonder, and what if they're building like a medieval wonder that they just claimed, or whatever the age was, you know? And it's like that they claimed that there was like, okay, I'm just going to build this later. Be like, hey, I can help you build that now. You know, you talk to them. You have this little agreement that costs you like 2% of your culture or your influence, which is not a lot. But if you do stack up all those policies, then it turns into a lot. And then you help them build it. And then at the end of it, they get their wonder complete. They're happy with it. But then you get a huge cash out of either of your choosing, gold or influence. And it is not a little, it is like thousands of cash or of influence or whatever.
Merchants.
Absolutely insane.
And finally, you can also spend influence to directly sabotage another player or steal from them in some way.
Yeah, like
a player generating a lot of influence
I've gotten like 5 to
6K is going to be able to sustain several strong relationships and make their rival's life a living hell. Speaking of which, let's now turn to the military. The units themselves are largely unchanged from past games, but they now boast new leadership with the commander unit. A commander functions similarly to a great general, boosting up the prowess of the adjacent units under their command. But there are a few very, very important distinctions. First off, as the units engage in combat,
towards training land units when stationed on a district. This is interesting.
And the commander...
How many commander points? Okay, so this is interesting. Maybe like you get more commander points from like, you know, your policies, and maybe you get some more commander points as you're fighting with the commander. Maybe this is kind of cool. But like, you know, stationing. Oh, and then there's maneuver land units with the command radius within the command radius have a 2 flanking bonus. This is dangerous.
Gains promotions, he will have several different promotion trees to
redeploy. Opponents have -2 flanking bonuses when attacking land units within the command radius. Oh, very interesting. So attack and like defense type stuff right here.
to pick from, including defensive or offensive.
This is cool. Zeal, 5% to all yields in a settlement when stationed on a district. So if you're not using a general, but you're having like this, or the commander, I'm still going to call these guys generals. So get used to that. But anyways, this would be nice just to have some extra yields.
Flanking bonuses.
When stationed on a district, though. So I think maybe the district itself is only going to get that.
Even promotions to boost.
+2 unit slots. And faster recruitment for this commander. Unit slots. Is this stacking armies?
The production and experience of
Civ
new
4.
units in a city. They also will have the ability to pack and unpack several units under their banner. Suppose that I have a commander unit, and I have 2 warriors, an archer, and a catapult nearby. All 4 of those units can attach themselves to that commander, disappearing from the map and stacking onto the same tile to that commander and a catapult
One more time.
nearby.
One more time, champs.
All 4 of those...
Gather adjacent units to form up on the army commander. Does it show how many slots this guy has? Or is this 6 slots right here? So maybe this is just the commander himself. Is he's just alone? Hold on.
Units can attach them.
So there's 4 units adjacent to him, right?
To that.
Okay. So the commander himself is, this is him. There's 4.
Commander, disappearing from the map and stacking onto the same tile as the commander. Now, whenever I move my commander around, I'm actually deploying 5 units at once. When I reach the border of my enemy, I can then unpack the units, and they will disperse to all of the nearby tiles. This may sound like a simple feature, but it has huge implications. As an example, in my game as Rome, one of my rival cities was placed behind 2 mountains with only a single tile as a pass between them. In Civ implications. As an example, like a simple feature, but it has huge...
Deploy stacked units into adjacent tiles. I'm a little confused. I think... like, so maybe... Can you not attack with the stack? Maybe you have to unstack.
Huge implications. As an example, in my game as Rome,
like why would I do this when
placed behind 2 mountains with only a single tile as a pass between them? In Civ 5 and 6, I would have had to painstakingly move each unit individually through the pass, which would have been a slow process.
Get good, bro. I don't know what to even tell you.
Nearby archers.
Moving individual units.
I used my commander to pack up my entire army, move the entire group through the pass at once, and then deploy around the enemy city. Huge tactical advantage. This also makes it a lot easier to organize and
towards training land units station.
Direct your military forces rather than control each unit individually.
+2, -2.
You might even be able to sneak an army up to your opponent's borders if you're careful and declare a surprise war. Whew, okay, after all of this, you'd think I'd be done listing changes.
+1 resource capacity in cities, 1 gold per age for each resource assigned to cities, 5 combat strength on all units in plains and desert. This is very strong.
But no, not quite yet. I'll make the rest very quick, though. Amenities are gone. Instead, the game is going to bring back a simpler happiness system with several different resources, buildings, and wonders, boosting your empire happiness. You can accumulate happiness per turn, and once you reach a threshold, you'll enjoy a celebration.
It seems like the commander can have like a base of maybe 4 to 6 slots, and then you could add 2 slots, I'm not sure, with one of the commander policy attributes or something, but
this will unlock a new social policy
yeah, Mike, they've
slot,
really
which functions a lot like the policy cards from Civ 6,
did a 180,
except you're not
right?
locked to military, economic, or diplomatic slots. Instead, they are open-ended, and you can pick any policy you have unlocked.
I mean, this stuff reminds me of Old World.
The happier your empire, the more policies you can stack up. It's worth noting that when you reach an age crisis, The negative impacts are very similar to social policies. You'll be presented with several negative effects to choose from, and you slot them into your empire, trying to do the least harm possible.
Right,
but at some point, it's inevitable that these crisis cards
Oh, you have
are
to choose
going to be a
two! You have to choose
millstone around your
two!
neck.
No.
It's inevitable that these crises
Okay,
are trying
cool.
to do the least harm.
So it seems like you have, maybe it's 6. Maybe he already clicked on this one from this side.
Possible.
Oh.
But at some point, it's inevitable that these crisis cards are going to be a millstone around your neck.
Yeah.
For another change, your civilization leaders can gain attributes
Whoa,
as you
whoa.
accomplish
Okay,
around
okay.
your neck. For another change,
I mean, at least I can see how much gold you're making. I could be like, hey, looks like you're pretty poor there, champ. You want a delegation? Just kidding. I'd give you a delegation. And defend from a tank with plantics because it's anti-cav, so bonus to stack. I would not play the game if that was a thing.
your civilization.
Like there's a mechanic. I don't know if you guys ever played a game called Company of Heroes. It's a very good game. Like Company of Heroes 2. Amazing game. And what they had was like, you know, like you could have a ton of like, you know, riflemen, for instance, right? But if there was one tank, it's not like your guns are going to just slowly grind down the tank. Your guns do no damage to the tank because it's a tank, bro. The guns, they don't, you know, penetrate through the armor. All right? There's no armor penetration there. So
leaders can gain attributes as you accomplish different milestones. Think of them like talent points.
are you
that will
50?
follow you
Mills, whether he's 50 or not, you're going to be, if you're a gamer for life, you're a gamer for life, okay?
for the rest of the
What game was that? Company of Heroes 2. So cultural, 1 culture per age on the palace and city halls. 10% production towards wonders, 25% culture towards studying civic masteries. Culture in cities with at least one wonder, culture in settlements for each resource assigned to them. So if you have a lot of resources, maybe this is better than this one. And if you're an ancestral hall gamer, culture per age from, gosh, there's settlements and towns. We'll have to see this. +2 if you have 3 or fewer cities. 10% culture for every alliance you have. Per age in town or 3 in distant lands. Distant lands. I wonder what a distant land is. Like maybe it's 15 tiles away from your capital, maybe. 5% total culture, repeatable. I don't like this repeatable stuff. Because like this doesn't seem like this tree, like I like how they have like different ones right here. This is cool. But this should be like, it should be broader, right? And it like it feels like you don't have too many options here. And then you're automatically unrepeatable. And then you're just forced to go into something else, maybe.
Boosting your military, science, culture, and more.
Yeah, it's one
The more
screen,
you
exactly.
generate,
Like they have the scroll thing here just for effect. Like, what is down here? Is there anything down here? And if there is, there's just one thing, right?
Better your leader will be. Eurekas have been removed, so you no longer feel pressured to follow a specific build.
I don't feel pressured to follow this stuff. What is this snowflake? Did you guys feel pressured to, I don't know, meet a person for writing boost? Huh? Did you feel pressure to make a trade route for currency? Hello?
Order to eke out extra science or culture. I also did not see
That's
any
funny,
sign
Priest.
of governors. Religion, oddly, also seemed removed from the version of the game that I played. Pantheons still exist, but as far as I could tell, there was no organized religion at all. I don't...
That's crazy. That's crazy. I like how there is like the mysticism where like you can choose, like there was like one civ on here where you can like choose a second pantheon. I thought that was giga powerful because like imagine if you had like a ton of pastures and a ton of horses and maybe you just did like God of Craftsman and God of Open Sky and then you just had like, you know, just good yields, you know, or, you know, I'm just mixing stuff up, whatever. Or Goddess of the Tides and God of the Sea, right? You just had some really nice tiles. That's really good. But no religion,
if this
bro.
was just a stripped out feature for my playtest or if this is something that is going to be saved for the Age of Exploration. I very strongly suspect the latter. There are, however, some interesting new civics added into the game, which are unique to...
Is that right, Alec? Is that what they're doing? Hey, you don't know what you're doing. Why don't you build a granary and shut up? And, you know, when you get going through the ages, you know, and then you can go pray.
Each of the civilizations and help develop the cultural heritage of your empire. These are permanent bonuses for the rest of the game and will help distinguish, say, a Roman playthrough from an Egyptian one. But taking these heritage cultural civics might mean you don't finish all of the global civics before the end of the age, so there's definitely a trade-off to be had. And finally, at long last, we reach the most important addition to the game, navigable rivers. Yes, you can have a unit end their turn on a river and then sail up and down rivers at a faster pace. This has been a long overdue addition to the game.
Yeah,
Okay,
I couldn't wait for that.
Finally, I think that covers everything important I saw during my playtest. I have given you a lot to think about, I know. With the leaders as the flavor, now the player will be invested in their leader and the culture.
Okay,
instead
we're going to
will
start
provide
at the
flavor.
beginning of this.
With the obvious, the changes to ages, cultures, and leaders is going to be very, very controversial. Whereas before the player was emotionally invested in their civilization with the leaders as the flavor, now the player will be invested in their leader.
Well, Humankind I think they did it right, where it took like full movements or like 3 movements or something in order to get onto the river, and then you could coast through the river and go through. And then in order to exit, then it took full movements or like 3 movement or whatever to get out of the river. That was cool, right? And the way the map got revealed in Humankind was pretty cool. Like I really like the was it the Neolithic age or whatever it is, like just the first age in Humankind, where you kill mammoths. You have to collect, you know, so you have to do certain quests and stuff in order to actually, you know, get certain bonuses. Or do you just go ahead and age up right away so you can get your civ of choice and yada yada, yeah.
Culture instead will provide the flavor. This is a fundamental shift from everything we know to be Civ. I think some people are going to be very receptive to this change and embrace the idea of a more narrative-driven Civ game. And I think
Anthology
others,
edition.
especially
You mean the
hardcore
religious
fans
edition?
of the previous Civ games, are going to be in for a shock and will rebel against this. For me personally, I have very mixed feelings. I see a lot of potential with these new systems, but I worry that the intermission between ages and the evolution of cultures is going to feel disjointed and unbalanced. Maybe it's just because I've been burned by games like Humankind, but the idea of Egypt having the option
civics look really
to
generic
swap
so
to a
far, yeah.
Mongolian culture, even if it is locked behind an achievement, doesn't sit well.
Bro, yeah, I saw you guys were in the watch party, but I wanted to like watch this and like, you know, pause whenever and just like read on certain stuff. But like right now I see like there's no builders, there's no religion, maybe until exploration age. Settlers are funky. The district placements, if like it feels like generic cookie cutter, like just set stuff down. I don't know what it is. It reminds me of like the Humankind and Old World, like, you know, kind of clumped up together. I don't know.
With me at all. To me, if there's going to be a cultural evolution, it needs to be logical at all ends.
Yeah, this is like, this is rough, and no Eurekas. The guy's like, yeah, so you don't have to have that pressure of, you know, doing the Eureka. Dude, that was fun in the game. That was like Eurekas and inspirations were like those little like side quests that you would do. Be like, hey, you know, I gotta make my 3 archers for machinery, you know, I gotta, you know, mine a resource, you know, I have to, you know, do certain things, you know, I have to settle on the coast, get the sailing boost, you know, I have to improve 2 fishes for celestial navigate, whatever, you know, just like I have to do these little things in order to, you know, get through the game. That's so funny.
Maybe Egypt can become Songhai by
Yeah,
default,
hopefully, like...
or maybe they could...
I mean, but, like, why... Yeah, Wacky. It's like, why would you take something that was so solid in the game, right? Eureka's and Inspirations were extremely... That was good. I mean, don't fix what's not broke is the term right here. Why would you take that out? If you want to add the stuff with, like what were you saying? With, like, the policies and the people, you know, that give the boost, that's cool. More boosts, the merrier, right? Like, if it makes sense in the game, add it in there. But don't take stuff out that makes sense, right? Because when you take stuff out that makes sense, that doesn't make sense.
Unlock the Mamluks or Arabia as an alternative civ. But not Mongolia. That just ruins my...
You heard that first here on Papa Chillin's channel. Okay.
version. I made this pitch to the Firaxis developers, and it was suggested that players can construct their own narrative for why.
You know why it's your first time hearing it?
Because
that's the first time I said it.
Couldn't do that for humankind. I don't see why it would.
I just want a good game, bro. That's all I want.
But again, I didn't get to see the process of transitioning between ages, so maybe my hesitation is unwarranted. I just don't know yet, and I really, really wish that Firaxis had included that in my playtest, just to set my mind at ease. I'm also very curious how the age objectives are going to change up the game. From what I can tell, it will be impossible to win a game before the modern era, except for a domination victory. How easy will it be to pivot from, say, a cultural legacy to a scientific victory over the course of a game? Or a religious victory, if that even exists at all? Will there be an advantage to mixing up your legacies, or do you want to snowball only one legacy throughout the whole game?
Okay, let's rewind this a tiny bit here. Give me a second.
From what I'm also had included that in my playtest, just to set my mind at ease. I'm also very curious how the age objective...
Scientific legacy point, game 1, legacy points, option, scientific attribute point, game 1, scientific attribute point. The first time any player reaches this milestone, 5 age progress points are added for all players. Okay.
Objectives are going to change up the game. From what I can tell, it will be impossible to win a game before the modern era, except for a domination victory. How easy will it be to pivot from, say, a cultural legacy to a scientific victory over the course of a game? Or a religious victory, if that even exists at all? Will there be an advantage to mixing up your legacies, or do you want to snowball only one legacy throughout the whole game? These are questions that won't be answered until I have a chance to play through a full game, but the balance is going to be crucial to Civ VII's success. On the plus side, because all civs progress into the ages at the same time, I do think there will be more opportunities for players who were behind in one era to stage a comeback and slingshot themselves into victory, much like a Dark Age in Civ 6 can lead to a timely Heroic Age.
What is
Again,
that, Dingo?
I can't make any further judgments until I see more. I also do have...
Yeah, you guys were talking about there's 5-player max, but there could be more players later? Like, how does that...
Some concerns about the city development system. I think that distinguishing between your towns and cities is fine and actually makes a lot of sense. I even think that the more agnostic urban districts will appeal to people who never really liked the specialized districts of Civ 6.
Yeah, appeal to the snowflakes.
But at least from the game that I played, I did feel like most of the city development came down to number bigger on this tile, big number go brrr. And I didn't really have to plan out at my city too much in order to get massive yields by the end of the game. That's reactive, not proactive. But again, this might appeal to some people, whereas Civ 5 is elegant in its simplicity, Civ 6 is...
They get bigger in the era, so are we going to actually experience, like, a barrier? Like, your scouts are going to go towards a barrier, and to the end of the map, and maybe it says you can't explore this until the exploration age, and then you're just going to have to go back. And then you find, like, there's, like, another player or something out there.
It's a game all about planning. If you can read the terrain correctly and execute on an elaborate plan, you reach...
Okay. I like this game. We got something going on here. We got tile yields, okay? We got adjacencies. We got something going on right here. What is this game?
rewards. But not everyone likes the complexity of a planning game. Civ 7 might be able to strike a happy balance between the two. That said, again,
I will say one
able
thing.
to strike
The one thing that they did work, that they did the most work on in this game that I like, is the next turn button.
a happy balance between the two. That said, again,
Yeah, that's
because I only
gold.
saw one age in my game and it was set to a standard difficulty, I recognize there is a lot I could be missing. It might be that at the higher difficulties, maximizing your building placement and adjacency bonuses is going to be crucial to success, and you'll have to plan for the long term. Talking to some of the devs, they certainly seem to believe that this was the case.
Yeah, Mills,
and
no
that
builders,
dating
whack job.
difficulty is actually far,
Get 'em outta here.
far harder in this
Go.
game than previous iterations. That intrigues me. So I'll have to put that to the test when Civ 7
Yeah, Peak. I
comes
think
out.
that's what they're gonna do.
There are a few things I really liked though, and I think will be a strong
I think the army.
positive.
I think the army commander stuff, like this stuff.
There are a few things
This stuff is cool, right? The great general stuff. This is nice. I like this part at least.
I really liked
I'm gonna
though,
say
and I think will be a
positive
strong
stuff.
positive for the game. The military commanders, as an example, were
The
fun to play
stacking the
around
unit
and use
stuff.
their abilities to maneuver my army across the map. Little things
I'm wondering when you stack the units. Of course, you can get like. I wonder if you could attack with that full stack though. That's because I saw when the person like unstacked and then they attacked. Maybe that's how you have to do it. Because why would you unstack when you could just attack with a full force, right?
Things like packing up my army to pass through the mountains like Hannibal.
How does a stack
is
fight,
a
though? That's what I'm
genuinely
wondering. Is that a
interesting
thing?
change. The unique cultural civics, likewise, are just an objectively good addition.
Like, is there like a width, like in Hoyt 4, like you can't just have a ton of units on a certain tile because it decreases their effectiveness, right? So there's only a certain width of a battlefield, like from tile to tile type deal. So that's what I'm like, or from from region to region. So that's what I'm wondering. I don't know if they went that far with the game. But Paradox is nuts.
If
so.
Firaxis is committed to a more narrative-focused game and less of a board game, then this is a no-brainer. Likewise, I think diplomacy has the potential to be very powerful and engaging, especially because the
yeah, you have 5 units inside of the Great General stack or whatever, and then someone just goes around you and declares war, and they say, "Unstack, hey, unstack, hey, moderator."
The most proactive diplomat stands to reap the most rewards. I guess up to this
looks
point
like
we
you have to
haven't talked
delete
about
your
the
whole
visuals of the game
formation.
at all, but honestly, that's a mixed bag to me as well. A lot of people criticized the appearance of Civ 6, claiming that it was too vibrant and cartoonish. That never really mattered to me personally. I care far more about the game mechanics. Civ 7 looks like it's going to strike a
Yeah,
balance
right.
between Civ 5 and 6. Not as cartoonish as Civ 6, but also
That would
not
be
purely
hilarious. That would be
realistic.
a video.
I don't know if this is a mistake, and maybe Firaxis is trying to strike a middle ground where no one will be happy, and it would have been better to commit one way or the other. All that said, I played a very early
That would be
version
the
of this
VOD,
game,
yep.
and I fully expect that the graphics and the UI are going to go through several more iterations prior to release. Okay, at this point, I know I've talked your ear off for almost 30 minutes, so let me
Keep
go
going,
ahead
bro.
and end this with one final summary of my thoughts.
Okay.
I went into this experience very excited to see what was going to happen with the Civilization franchise.
Okay.
I'm now coming out of this feeling a little bit more cautious. There are some parts that I really...
You hear that? I thought he was sold out for a second. Nope. He's like, I'm going to watch my words. I'm feeling a little bit more cautious because what I just played, I can't unplay.
do like, and some parts that I think I might come to like, but initially it's such a shock, I don't really know how to feel about it, even after a few days of pondering. When this game comes out, what I fully expect to happen is we are going to see a pretty big split in the community between the more casual Civ enjoyers, who I think are going to be more open to these changes, and the more hardcore fans of Civ 5 and 6, who are gonna look at this and they're just going to hate some of these new systems.
Oh, dude.
Now, the thing is, we've seen this all happen before. I think a lot of people forget that when Civilization 5 came out, a lot of people didn't like the game. They didn't like the changes to the hex-based
Michael, those are
armies
great
or
emojis.
city-states or the cultural trees. A lot of people just didn't like it and they fought
Yeah,
against
Fish.
it. And
Oh,
yet
man.
now, sometime later, Civ V is considered to be one of the best games in the franchise. Likewise, when Civ 6 came out, a lot of people hated the districts. They didn't like the art style. There were a lot of criticisms then too, and yet again, sometime later, we look back at Civ 6, and it is now a very well fleshed out game that has a very healthy community. The same thing might happen here with Civ 7. So I expect a bumpy release. That said, there is still a lot of time for some changes to be made before the game releases on February 11th, 2025. And I'm certainly looking forward to playing through the game a bit.
Dude, that's less than 6 months away. I mean, I thought it was going to be in the fourth quarter, right? When I think of the quarters of the year, I'm thinking, you know, fall to the winter type deal. But that's pretty soon. So buckle up. We will get the game, and we will give it the old college try.
Bit more so I can see how the changes in the early game really flesh out throughout the 2 remaining ages. We will have to see.
Yeah.
So like I said, at the end of the day, a lot of mixed feelings, some caution,
Ready to
maybe
go,
a little
yeah.
bit of optimism in some places, but I think we can all
Oh,
agree
that's
at the
another
end of the
thing.
day-
That's a good point. Ready to go. Selecting and managing governors, governor titles. Yeah, great people. Yeah. Like I would like. Where are the governors now? Where's Magnus? Huh? Moksha, Pengala. You know, there's.
This is going to feel
Say,
like a very
ta-ta,
different
Turbo
Civ
Man.
game. A good game, perhaps, but nothing like what we have seen before. Before I end this video, I do want to say a big thank you to
Oh, the fiscal
Firaxis
year,
and
okay.
2K for getting me
My
involved with this event. This is obviously kind of a big moment in my YouTube career, and I really enjoyed my time talking with them. In fact, I was up till 1 a.m. talking with some of the Civ devs, going over these changes and expressing my ideas or my concerns, and they were very open to the feedback, which I know is tough. I'm in a creative field myself. When you've spent several years of your life put into this creative project, you really want people to take, you know, this really excited attitude out of it. Oh man, it was
That's
so
right.
great. So when you hear a lot of people saying, I'm not sure about this actually,
Yeah,
that's going to be
right.
a little bit crushing. But I think they handled
Dude,
it
that
very,
would
very
suck.
well. They seemed receptive. I don't think they're going to
If
be
players have to
surprised by the
go
reception
through
here at
another
all. They're
era
ready for it,
or another
but they are
game
convinced that what
of
they have
Rise
made
and Fall
is going to be the best
and,
possible Civ product.
Gathering Storm.
We will see. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this
'Cause Civ
video
6 is
and found
nothing
it
without
informative.
those, right?
If you did, could you please do me a favor and hit that like button? It really does help. And of course, subscribe if you'd like to see my future content, including more Civilization VII. And lastly, go ahead and leave some comments down below. I'm very interested in knowing what you are thinking of some of these changes, where you see some potential and maybe where you see some pitfalls. I'm sure the Firaxis team would be interested in hearing your feedback.
What
Other
do
than
you
that,
guys
my name is
think?
Provis, thanks again, and I will see you guys next time.
Hey folks, Quilly here, and I played Sid Meier's Civilization VII. I recently took a trip to the Firaxis offices in Baltimore.
Okay, bro.
It's finally time I can share that I have planned.
I want to take a poll. I don't know if you guys want to be interested in a poll. Thank you for the follow. Test. Civ 7. 1. Civ thoughts 1 through 10. We're gonna do a 1 through 10 if you guys are here. Hey, Zex, thank you for the sub, bro. Appreciate that. Oh, we'll do 1 through 5. 1 through 5 stars. 1 through 5 stars.
Aid Civilization 7. With my thanks to 2K, who flew me out to check out Firaxis' studio, gave me 4 hours of hands-on experience.
Appreciate it,
with
Zax. Thank you.
Civilization
Thank
7. Today, my friends, I'm going to break down roughly 15 minutes of gameplay, giving you my hands-on perspective as we move through. There'll be time cards down below for different sections, but
okay, let's go to the early game again.
The early game. Once you've selected your leader and civilization, in this case, fairly
there's a poll up.
straightforward
If you guys haven't
historical
participated in the poll,
an
please
Egyptian
do. I'd like to get your
empire
thoughts
was
on that.
Born, you'll jump through and see the game map for the first time.
1 equals
I think
bad,
it's worth
5
freezing
is
here
amazing.
Just for a moment, because if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking it looks a bit like Civilization VI, but maybe slightly more realistic, almost, could be the right word. Up in the top left, we see many icons familiar to Civ 6 players. One notable new resource icon, that globe one next to money, that is influence. And we'll be returning to that later because there's a lot to unpack there. Starting off, you have not a settler, but a founder, and the very familiar process of settling a city in Civ is born. However, things start to change here. They start to diverge. To begin with, of course, selecting units, training them in the city works the same way it always has. Production, cool, set, move through to the next turn. Some of the nuances start to show themselves as we take a slightly closer look at the technology tree, unlocking our first building and adding some benefit to farms. My personal impression is that these benefits that you unlock through the tech
agriculture
tree
is
and
one of the first
tree,
techs.
which also returns, tend to
Is
be
the
a
first
little
tech.
bit more pronounced here. You'll find perhaps more of them, and arguably, I believe, they're stronger than in previous titles, though of course, it's fairly early days yet. The UI is generally like this, fairly crisp and clean, often fairly monochrome. They did say that they were going to be working on it a little bit more, particularly around scaling, they being, of course, Firaxis and the developers. Let's focus back in on the gameplay. The Scout has a lot of unique options, like this Surge to increase its vision range for 1 turn. These kinds of abilities will play out as you move through as well, for one of Unique and the developers. Let's focus back in on the gameplay.
Okay, let's go back really quick. Sorry.
Of course,
lookout, increase sight range by +1.
Firaxis and the developers.
Increase sight range +1 for 1 turn. Reveal all discoveries within twice this range.
Let's focus back in on the gameplay. The Scout has a lot of unique options, like this Surge.
You take +1.
Its vision range.
The first
for 1 turn.
So you have
these kinds of abilities will play out as you move through as well. We'll talk about them later in the video when it comes to combat, but I wanted to note them here. Now, with the building of a granary, expanding out to a tile, expansion in Civilization VII, by the way, must be done adjacent to an existing city tile. No more randomly plopping districts way far away. We also just revealed something very important there. Did you see it? It was only on the screen for a moment. Let me bring it back up. There are actually 2 things. The first one is that this tile that the city is growing to, likely a rural expansion rather than an urban, is a navigable river tile. We can now move units up and down the rivers. They actually have some significance.
Wait, that's not in the city's borders?
Beyond just settling.
What do you mean it's
Another
growing
important
in there?
factor is that this tile was expanded improved indeed, without the use of a builder. Builders have been removed from the Civilization franchise in Civ 7 in, I believe, an attempt to remove some of the micromanagement around the game, streamline the process just a little bit. And having played games like Humankind or Millennia here on the channel and other games that focus building the city actually within the city rather than requiring external units.
It better be a goodie hut. This better be a goodie hut.
This does help streamline the process. A different part of the game where they've
soldiers have tracked a horde of bandits to their stolen treasure. Debts must be repaid. After maintenance through labor, redistribute their valuables.
The depth is this part, the goodie hut.
Plus 10 production and 50 gold.
It's the tribal huts, now offering at least
plus 75 happiness.
A choice, in this case between happiness or production and gold. I'll take the money any day. Moreover, though, they can add
gold
quests,
is really good, but
almost
what's the plus
challenges
75
for you
happiness,
to complete
man?
within the age that sometimes have many layers within them. Now let's focus our attention back to old mate Scout, who's now going to use the lookout effect to
the happiness
1,
income,
increase the vision range, and 2, change the look of this little dude on the map. Now with a nice little watchtower, this unit is positioned with extra vision range, so I can keep an eye on that area of the map. A nice use for scouts instead of just kind of randomly running them around in areas you may have already explored.
Watchtower.
We see again the expansion of the city as the population grows. Now 4, in fact, as the turn changes over, and the city is yet again ready to produce something. In the early game, your options are still roughly just as limited as they are in previous Civilization games.
I mean, I don't know what you're doing. You go double scout unless you see a barbarian, right?
Work in different ways.
What about settler?
Multiple buildings added within a district, sometimes unique buildings and unique combinations to provide even more bonus yield within them. And as I mentioned earlier, the growth must be a little bit more natural in Civilization VII.
No, it's
than
like
in previous
humankind in
games.
Old World, bro.
It must be connected to a previous tile, not just dotted around the map. As we move through toward the end of
we're
this
watching
early
different
game
videos
section,
of different
you're
streamers
starting to see the
and
technology
YouTube
tree
creators that
get a little bit more advanced.
that played.
Bearing in mind,
So I'm
that
pretty
we
sure
are, of
everybody
course,
just got
only
the
within
same spawn,
first age
and they just played the
of the
demo
Civ
out.
game.
I'm pretty
And
sure
all
that's
of
just
this
what it
footage
is.
Is taken from the Antiquity Age. So most of the stuff that we're unlocking is fairly straightforward.
I don't know.
Jumping into the civics, they
you
are
add
arguably
towns, it
more
seems,
powerful
to
than
your
they were
main
before.
city.
You'll see the unique ones up.
But there was one thing that the guy said is like you add, like you're adding a town, but that you can't do anything in there. It does give you additional yields, but you have no power. There was something where you had no power in producing whatever that town did or something crazy. Like I try to erase it from my mind so I could just continue watching it without throwing
the
up.
first 2 options, unique to me based on how I set up my civilization and its leader, and then some of the more generic ones. Discipline leading through into one of my personal favorites for the playthrough, mysticism, giving gold in all settlements. Settlements counting towns that you can attach to your cities. And
choose a government. Each government gives a set of choices during a celebration.
And not to overwhelm you too much, but governments also make a return. In this case, as you can see, providing a limited boost, 10 turns, and a fairly
Wait, what
significant
turn is
one,
this guy
depending
on? He's
which
turned
yield
10
you
and
wanna
he's already
choose.
at a political
All of these
philosophy. What
decisions
is this?
Shaping the game, alongside, of course, the return of policies
Gong, you're whack.
generally unlocked again through the civics tree.
Yeah.
We still have a lot
I got
more
a
to
haircut,
cover.
dude. My
The
hair's all over the
victory
place.
process, for example, we'll get to alongside diplomacy, combat,
Thanks for
loads
the
of juicy
follow,
changes.
Byron.
But unfortunately, I've tricked you into listening to a call to action.
How
But I hope it'll be a
long
valuable one
bay?
for you too. I have so much more I could say on all of the topics in this video. But what do you want to know? How can my hands-on experience with the game and all of the other 4X historical strategy I've covered here on the channel provide you with what you want to know? So let me know down in the comments whether you leave one yourself or just upvote another one.
Go
You'll
vote
find
in
them
the
all,
poll.
of
If you
course,
haven't
down
voted in
next
the
to
poll
that
yet,
subscribe
go
button,
vote in the
which
poll.
My biased opinion is wouldn't be a bad shout considering it's Civ 7.
Yeah, shout out to Jumbo.
Let's get back to the video though.
Pixel.
Now on to diplomacy and influence. Starting with a look
Good
at
information.
the independent people.
There's somebody else,
Here's
too.
one now.
We'll give a shout out as well.
These peoples can pop up and disappear throughout a
Shout
game.
out to Michael.
They're not linear,
He's the
they're
one
not
that
just
streamed the
stuck there
Civ
until
7
somebody
party,
destroys
yeah?
them. The
On Spot
city-state,
TV.
kind of rigid city-state system, particularly of previous Civs, I'm thinking Civ V, is
See, how do we
long
do this?
gone. These dynamic, or honestly kind of like civilizations, will play an important role. Of course, they won't ultimately create more and more cities like a proper empire would. If you want to deal with empire on empire diplomacy, well, here it is. The first interaction will be familiar to most
Yeah,
of
Michael
us.
is the one
Friendly
that
greeting,
streamed
reveal
this
their location,
the
do
Civ
nothing,
party in
will loosen the
CPL and
relationship.
Civ Players
However,
League.
what Civilization VII does quite well is tokenized diplomacy.
Oh, you couldn't
and
stream it?
Uses the influence mechanic, that
Ah.
little globe up in the top left, which you can
My-
generate from buildings, leader, Civ abilities.
In CPL for the boys? Ah, I see, I
all
see.
kinds of places to
Yeah,
get
my,
this, and in my
my picture
experience,
was
it is relatively
like it was like
abundant
lower
if you go
quality. It was like
looking for it.
1080p, whatever.
It won't
but
just
it just was
cost
low
you
low
things
quality,
for these
so I don't know what
diplomatic
happened.
actions, though. These very basic
I had to,
early
like,
ones
squint and
are
see
of
some stuff.
course supplanted by a much larger category of later game interactions, but they've also woven other elements in, like sabotage and espionage, for example, which we're now going to focus in on a little bit more, as well as take a look at the trees, tech trees, culture trees, and then that war diplomacy. Firstly, the tech tree looks very familiar. You'll probably...
No, it doesn't look very familiar. It looks like garbage, okay? Okay, so we had like mining, animal husbandry, pottery, astrology, and sailing, right? Those are the 5 things you could choose from in the base, right? Now, you just got agriculture. There's a problem there, okay?
Pick up the only...
Yeah, if you want to know how to write, you must know how to sail, okay? This is crazy. It's like they're heavily reducing the complexity of the game to make it easier on the AI. Not sure it's gonna pan out. Pirate, it's not.
Notable
Not panning
exception
out
from
now.
Civ 6 is a lack of Eureka bonuses and those synergies if you focus down.
So it looks like 2 out of 5 stars.
The civics trees are also presented firstly by age and then secondly by culture. In this case, the Egyptian culture.
I agree with the 2.
A far smaller tree,
2 out
but
of
of
5 stars,
course
good.
one that's a lot more nuanced and not more focused in. In this case, giving a callback to something from earlier in the video, +1 culture on navigable rivers alongside pyramids.
This looks too
increasing
complex.
your
It's
city
not.
cap or settlement limit, and some extra
less.
cash. Let's not drill too deep into those
Trust.
details though, and now look at the diplomatic actions. Treaties and endeavors, generally used to build a relationship, open markets, exchange culture, reconcile. And then sanctions, these more almost devious actions.
Hold on, what is this stuff
reconcile.
right here? To start this diplomatic, you need to at least have a unfriendly to start this.
And then sanctions, these more almost devious actions, from the early denouncement right the way through to things that I would consider espionage. As you can see, when you're declaring war support
They will gain 150
returns.
influence.
0 for me and 3 for them, thanks to a not so hostile relationship and a surprise war.
Dude, do you
War
see
support,
this?
However, can hostile relationship 0 for me.
This will declare a surprise war since you didn't have a hostile relationship. They will gain 150 influence. Okay, initial war support for you is 0. For them, it's 3. Okay, there is a war support mechanic in humankind, right? You each start at a certain amount, and then when you go below a certain level, or when you lose a certain amount of war support, another player can, you know, demand their actions on you, or demand their claims, right? They claim this, they want this, and if they have a certain amount of war support, and they can, you know, make sure that their war goals are, you know, completed. So, but if it's tile-to-tile combats, it will be faster combat than humankind,
them,
just by
thanks
default.
to a not so hostile relationship and a surprise war. War support, however, can be much more easily read, I believe, and kind
I'm wondering
of
how the
influenced,
war actually,
using that it's in the name.
like going to war will just like
influence
take a flat
yield,
amount of happiness or
specific
something.
Diplomacy yield that really focuses in.
Wow.
Here you can see 60 of it can be spent. Now 90 of it required.
Oh, if there's
to
no
support
spy
myself
game
in
either,
the
there
war,
might be.
reducing wariness on my production and combat strength that comes as a result of the fighting. You can also look into other wars. For example, here's one being played out by 2 of the AI empires. With
I mean, there's no reason to
615
pre-order
influence to
unless if you
spend.
want
Again, maybe not that
Napoleon
hard
to
come by
have
in
a red
certain
coat or a
situations.
blue coat.
You can choose to support one side or the other. And
Whatever
influence
coat it is, I don't know.
the weariness of that war. Or target them with some specific effects. Those
If you pre-ordered the game, and you know, I'm not doing crazy hate on the game, right? I love Civilization for sure. But if you pre-ordered the game and someone sees you with that red Napoleon coat, and the game turns out to be an absolute disaster, you're going to be the sucker with the red coat. Just saying.
actions hindering agriculture or their civics and society. The diplomacy overall
And when you go play Napoleon, you're not going to put the red coat on anymore, because you know what you did.
felt a little easier to engage with. And by using it a bit and building up some experience, I was able to access the leader attribute tree. And you can see one here as an example. Split across culture, diplomacy, economy, expansionist, militarist, and scientific. There's a lot here. So depending on what you're doing, the kind of experience
I'll keep it on the
you
wish
earn,
list
you'll
so
be
I
able
just
to
can
assign
keep
points
updates on
to
it.
unlock
Because
these
things can
traits
change, right?
Or abilities.
But they're on a time limit.
Honestly, a very expansive tree. Almost as expansive as the wonder animations which make their wonderful return largely from Civ 6, although of course now with the new Civ 7 art style, the changes that have been made there, alongside animation.
Who doesn't like a good Coliseum, right?
Let's drill down now, Drill Sergeant, into the combat and commanders section of
5 months
the
go by
video.
quick, yeah.
Here you'll see a commander unit surrounded
5 months?
by normal
6 months,
units. I can promote it.
Oh yeah,
once
it's less than 6 months. You're right.
Points.
Jeez,
These are built
Oni.
in the top left. You can see currently level 2, 15 out of 60 toward level 3, and again divided within many trees. Different perks where I can spend my points to unlock these abilities.
I mean, if they give me
Do
a
I want
demo,
the
like
logistical
if I
army,
talk to
moves faster,
Firaxis, be like,
picks
hey,
up
hey
faster,
Sid,
or do I want to go for sheer
we go back a
strength
long
with
time, my friend.
assault?
Okay.
It's kind of a difficult decision. Here you can see
Yeah.
the commander doing what they
have
do
a little
best.
bit of that game.
Another unique
Let's see
type
what's
of
going
unit
on here.
with a unique ability. In this case, gathering up land units around it and packing them all into one tile.
I can get feedback. I can't fix it, but I can tell you
Civ fans of the
to bring back the
classics,
Eureka's and
it's
builders
not
at
quite
least.
the death tiles of old.
But we
Units are
can't
packed
bring back the
together. They'll
builders. It
march
doesn't
as
work
an
with the
army.
game.
They don't need to be the same type of unit. None of that kind of
We'll give you a
merging
free
from
Napoleon
Civilization
skin, though,
6
huh?
with
You like
armadas
this?
or whatever. In this case, a commander can gather up a certain number of units, march with them across the map, and then, as you can see, deploy. Generally, the
deletes
deploy will
stacked
use
armies
their
when you-
turn,
yeah,
though
that's
there are
that's
traits and
crazy.
abilities that can
Stacked
get around
armies?
this to make the actions a little bit faster, maybe enabling
Civ 7
you
will
to
keep
jump
Civ 6
straight
alive?
into the fight after deploying. Obviously, there's so much more that I could say about that.
That's funny you say that because, you know, we have such a great mod team that's, you know, we have people in our community, right, that are actively trying to, you know, pursue a greater game and to make the game playable and work and, you know, balance, you know, to have, you know, create balance in the game. And so when the mods are seeing this, what's going through their heads? Are they saying to themselves, wow, I think we should kind of like not exit the Civ 6. You know, we'll keep a small team for the Civ 6, but we're hoping for a great reveal. We're hoping to, you know, talk with the, you know, the devs of the Civ 7 team and, you know, to get something going. And so when it does come out release, we can have like, you know, either day 1 release or, you know, within the week or week 2 release of, you know, a good patch of something that we find, you know, to be fit for the multiplayer community, right? Or are they looking at this and be like, white flag, bro, stay here. No one's going anywhere, okay? We're gonna make Civ 6 greater than Civ 7. Like we don't know. So
it makes moving troops around easier. Arguably, they look a little bit better as well. Better animated, better effects, and arguably more strategy. Pack them up, hide them, sneak attacks.
I actually liked humankind combat, but the game
now
just
let's move on to the
was
final
literally a
main
time and a half
category.
to 2
Ages,
times longer
crises,
than a Civ game.
victory.
We had a
How does the game
we had a
move, and how do
humankind
you
community
move
in my
through the
Discord for a bit.
ages? Well, to answer that second question, it
And
starts with a
one game would
crisis.
take
ticks up
7,
out of
8
100,
hours
one
average.
per turn, and more based on your actions.
Sometimes
and the
we didn't
ability to
complete a game,
complete
dude.
Your quests associated
People
with
were just
your
tired. We would
civilization.
have to take a 10,
Progress.
15-minute break.
But to
be like,
focus
hey,
in
I'll
on the
see you in a bit,
crisis,
you know?
it begins with a policy. Later, multiple
You know, it's already the morning time. I want to go see the sun for 10 minutes, and then I'll
crisis
come
will
back.
also be accompanied by events on the map. As you move through the Antiquity Age, it's random civilizations, maybe stronger than barbarian
We were just
camps,
talking about
but
that.
weaker than city-states, pop up around the place, looking to probably cause trouble. And of course, you can also feel the pain thanks to the social policies, and I'd also point out, track the progress of the crisis.
See, I like the crisis. This is cool, you know. And you'd be like, well, hey, you know, like, what'd you take for your social policies, you know? I took barbarian mercenaries because I'm not going to war. Are you sure about that?
Using that little bar up there, you can see that the crisis.
Thanks for
obviously
telling me
happens
you took
towards the end of an
100%
age
maintenance on
and
your military
intensifies fairly quickly thereafter. The crisis events on the map, the cards, the chaos generally is one thing to
Mini
deal
crisis,
with.
which are
but
cool, yeah,
throughout the
that's
age and
neat.
future ones,
I think that's
you should
fine.
also be focused on your legacy paths, split across science, culture, military, or economic. These are your quests, your goals, your challenges within the age. To go down the science pathway, which you might do if you built your civ that way, you might.
I mean,
change
if
your
you can
mind
take an
halfway
idea
through.
and
You
make
need to
it
display
better,
10
go do it.
codices, codex,
I mean,
and
I'm
old
all for
scientific
that, right?
manuscript. I believe, but don't
Take an
quote me on
idea
this
and
part,
make
produced
it,
by
you know,
a
just
building
better. I
company
mean, it's
good.
just.
In this case, if we do that, we'll start to earn some legacy points and move down the pathway As you can see, the first player to reach the milestone
give the players a good
also
game.
adds age progress to all other players. So this
You
is
steal
not
more
just
from
an
Paradox for
individual
story-focused
challenge,
game.
but also something that
I'm
you're trying
afraid
to
that they're
drive
gonna go
along
into-
to drive the world through into its next age. The system isn't just designed to benefit winners, though.
Like they're diving into old world aspect. It feels like it feels like because old world has like legacies and stuff like that. Old world has this like mini feature of like CK3 into there, right? And they have like this cookie cutter stuff and repeatable stuff in the tech tree and in the civics tree and stuff. So
you can see that each
like
progress point, well, some of the progress points anyway, offer rewards. And if you can make it all the way to unlock a golden age, then some kind of ability, building, or bonus
We were playing
will
Civ 6
carry
music
through
when you were playing
much
Humankind.
stronger than many older
Yeah, I
buildings,
do remember
which
that
in
Beasley.
this game may not provide you anything at all. The culture legacies also reflect broadly the same kind of thing
What's up,
as you would
Cisco?
expect, moving through to a golden age, where in this case, as an example, amphitheaters become golden age ones, retaining their base yields, adjacency bonuses, and effects, so they keep everything moving through to the next age.
They retain their base yields. So do you lose the yields if you don't hit golden?
Which again is not guaranteed in Civilization VII. There's a real, I believe, underlying focus on saying, hey look, this thing from 2,000 years ago maybe doesn't really do as much for us these days, and so therefore it won't provide a bonus, or its bonuses may not carry through. We've now looked at all of the main legacy challenges for this age, the different categories, finally ending here with the economic one. And I think you'll start to understand that these pathways, these legacy paths, as well as providing individual benefits, a tree of unlock maybe experience for my leader and growth for my civ, they also work toward victory. Achieving a victory early, I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know what happens if you completed all of these within the first age. What I do know is it's...
Let's be honest. These pictures right here are garbage. Okay? These icons are pretty cool. I like this. A lot of gray stuff going on here. And this progression meter here, I don't know.
Fairly easy to swap and change between focuses, or indeed work on multiple at the same time, helping to progress the age. However, as my gameplay was mostly limited to the first age, I'm not super qualified to go too much deeper.
Yeah,
What
it
we
is
can
very
go
bland.
deeper into is what the game's actually going to look like. Releasing on the 11th of February 2025, the game will have a few different editions. I think there's some interesting stuff in here. The standard edition will generally retail for $69.99
$70?
and the game will be coming to all platforms, all the ones written on your screen at the same time.
Dude, I'm running out of cash.
For the Civ franchise.
What?
Next up, there'll also be a
How much are the
deluxe
DLCs,
edition,
man?
Obviously with a more deluxe price
Oh,
point.
a deluxe
Generally
edition? You forget
$100
about it.
for most of us.
Oh my god.
Switch. This will include 5 days worth of early access, as well as
Oh yeah,
two
$10
content
off
packs
if you play on
and
the
first
console.
Post-launch DLC. Finally, the digital-only Founders Edition builds, of course, on top of the Deluxe Edition.
Oh, do you
Slaps
see the
an
tile
extra
yields,
30
though?
Founders Edition builds, of course, DLC.
Hold on.
Finally, the digital...
Okay, so we got some happiness right here. Food, production. So they brought the hammers back, right? So now people are like, oh, how many hammers do you got? I got 2 hammers. You know? So you got the food, production, and happiness. It seems like there's 5 food, 6 production, 5 gold, 3 science, 3 culture, 5 happiness, and the capital.
Digital only.
No prod in sight. Yeah, it's looking a little rough. We got a mine here. We got a quarry, a mine, whatever's there. A little food and gold. There's some science here. This area looks of interest.
Founders Edition builds, of course, on top of the Deluxe Edition, slaps an extra $30 on, and gives you 1 additional pack.
I'm gonna need
Founders
delegations.
pack,
Founders Edition.
as well as a second DLC. And again, those DLCs you can see on your screen are scheduled to release after the game comes out. So it would seem they've also announced the first 2 DLCs, Crossroads of
whatever.
the World Collection,
Dude.
and one called Right to Rule. You'll get all of that
Better
inside
save that Christmas
of
money.
the Founders Edition if you choose to purchase it. I also see through their press release they have a collector's edition, unknown price, physical items only, doesn't include the game. This is your goodie bag of cool, unique Civ merch. And finally, some pre-order as well as 2K account bonuses. The pre-order bonus only really useful to you if you're buying the standard edition, and arguably you probably don't need that one pack. But that is just my humble opinion. Speaking of which, I've largely stayed away from leaning too deep into my opinion and impressions, although of course they've bled throughout this video. What I've tried to do is explain what you're seeing, break down the gameplay, and talk a little bit about how Civilization VII differs or changes. And I think there's probably a greater video to explore those changes in a bit more detail. I'd also, as I mentioned earlier, love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below.
You know,
please.
it's going to be a
Or upvote
refresher
something. Let me
just
know
to
what
play
you
a
wanna
nice
see.
game of
hey,
Civ
I
6.
really like the combat section. I'd like to know your impressions, how it actually plays. Stupid internet man, or whatever you want to comment. Regardless, and aside from that, I generally enjoyed my experience. I'll try and stay away from 3 hours, 4 hours worth of gameplay turning into too sweeping of a statement. I liked it. I think that some things, though, will be a little bit difficult to adjust to. Maybe we can unpack that next time.
Whose video is this? That was Jumbo Pixel. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let me open up another window here. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good amount of cash, ain't it? I think let's see if anybody's streaming the Civ 7.
That's the you didn't get that during customs. That's what they tell you specifically.
Is he actually playing this game?
If you don't have a
He's not playing it right now. It's Stellaris. Yeah? Another expansion, dude? Extra ship components.
Extra ship components next by N Hunter. Owning weapons, components, trade advantages, psionic, great feature, enigmatic weapons, technologies offering various bonuses. If you don't like certain features, scale to be used by certain thematic use gravitic weapons, while spiritualist fallen empires use psionic weapons.
I like this game a lot, but I think the most I can do with, like, you know, equipping all of this stuff is probably like Hoyt 4, because then you just equipped, you know, certain things. But like, dude, you got like mega structures that are like double that amount.
Stellar hyperconstructs range from well with 3% and lowering bombardment damage.
That's pretty cool though.
You can actual single mega structure, genetic, visual debris, bond with debris, the abyssal airs.
The first time I did that I had like the Planet Eater or the Star Eater or whatever it's called. I was sold before that, but man, when I did that, that just gave me goosebumps. Like, that is like crazy, making like a system into a black hole or whatever.
Amenities and resource output. All pops are dead. Research a special project to modify your species with nano. Empire-wide mod the foundation for your ascendancy. As you make end, your star bases will be redesigned. Also unlocks an ascended variant of the Juggernaut and the Star Dreadnought. The second outcome makes vanilla ship classes cheaper and improves their fire rate. The main situation
Plus
also
25%.
unlocks compatibility to
Jeez.
subscribe.
Cool. Yeah. This is Quill. It was this one right here.
It's finally time. I can.
This is the one right here. Yeah. And then there's Quill here too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, guess we could see what's going on here. Is anybody playing Civ 6? I think I'll play a game here in a little bit. But I wanted to stream that and see what was good. Is this guy actually playing the game? Hold on. Spanish? Hold on, let's see. That guy's not playing it. Product details. I don't know what this guy's doing. Gameplay live reaction. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we try to find a match or something here in a little bit. But I will be back. I will post this on Twitch and probably on YouTube just for like a reaction thing. And yeah, just call that a day. Maybe we could talk about this guy. This guy's a huge single player. This guy's huge into single player Civilization. So let's go raid him. I will be back in a little bit. But yeah, you guys take care. Thank you for joining me for the live reaction stuff. And we'll play some Civilization 6 very soon. All right, thank you. Hey, thank you for the 100 bits, bro. Cheers. Thank you. Much love. And you guys take care, okay? I'll see you soon, okay? Bye.